Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you Game 5 in the best of 5 series between Sase and Goody. Game 5 taking place here on Scrap Station, Goody spawning as the purple Terran player at the 3 o'clock location. Meanwhile, Sase spawning as the pretty in pink Protoss at the 12 o'clock location. Scrap Station, let's see what version this is. The vents go all the way behind, so this is the most recent version of Scrap Station, making it very difficult for any units to be able to see into here. The only way units can see into there is if you actually have a flying unit above here. So this does start to help help Zerg a little bit more, as their early overlords are able to do the job and gain sight into this location. We now see a supply depot being built on the front door. We should also get a barracks and then perhaps a factory to round off the completion. Now, a couple of things to note here on Scrap Station. The spawning locations are relatively close for flying units, so there very well could be Void Rays, Phoenixes, and Banshees, or perhaps even some very early drops. Goody should be going for a refinery in just a moment, as the probe, after his first gateway, is now making its way out and doing the scouting in the counterclockwise direction into his opponent's base, as there's only one location on this map anyways. And probe now making its way over, activating the Zonaga Watchtower, and we'll be able to come up that ramp and pretty much see what it needs to see. Pretty much sees that it is standard play, nothing out of the ordinary, especially with that refinery now coming in. So it's going to be a refinery and a barracks, upgrade to an orbital command, train up a marine, and then as soon as that marine's done, we may get a tech lab. So the marine now currently being trained. The probe pretty much saw what it wanted to see. It should be leaving there in just a moment. Now getting a supply depot over here. So a supply depot here, which means that we still could get a factory here, or perhaps the barracks could lift off and then we could get the factory there and then have a tech lab to try to complete that seal. Cybernetics core now warping in as well. We already have the second assimilator coming in from Sase, so Sase going for a very early 2-gas build. And as I've said in the past, you never know what exactly the Protoss player wants to do with double gas. He could try to go for sentries, he could try to go for sentries expansion, or he could try to go up that higher tech path, and you have to be able to respond accordingly, perhaps using a scanner sweep to get information on the inside of his base. And barracks currently in play, but not training anything, not going for a tech lab, and now we see a second refinery. So Goody may very well be going for Banshees. Banshees would be pretty strong on this matchup. Sase does not have a robotics facility just quite yet, and he still has plenty of opportunity and chance. There he goes, getting that robotics facility in order to scout out and shoot down any possible Banshees. But I don't see a starport yet, so it may just be a figment of my imagination that Goody wanted to go Banshees, or is he actually going to go for Banshees? Going for a starport now. He's currently not training Hellions, going for a factory, so he's either going to go for Banshees with a drop, or he's going to try to go for Banshees or go for Hellions with a drop. Bunker now on that front door as well. We'll be able to hold off a lot more units. Stalker and a pylon now being used on this high ground will act as a very easy way to deploy units out into the battlefield, while pretty much protecting this early pylon from any early harassment, unless your opponent has flying units, but then by that point it's not really early harassment anymore. Starport now going to be landing. There is that Banshee now being trained, and we should be getting a cloaking research as soon as we are up to 200 gas. So just need to get up to 200 gas. Banshees do take a little bit of time to train, 60 game seconds, so almost or a little bit longer than an Immortal to train, as that Banshee will be able to come in here and just start wreaking havoc into this mineral line. But there will be an observer as well. Production wise, we still don't see cloaking research, and a lot of players will ask me, why would you get Banshees without even cloak? what you're trying to do is you're trying to make your opponent, or punish your opponent for not getting enough stalkers. If you do go into that cloaking research does cost 200 minerals and 200 gas, which is then pretty much countered by Sase getting an observer. One observer, which is normally trained, countering a cloaked banshee, doesn't really make that much sense until you are able to deal with that observer and to deny sight. 3 stalkers and a sentry now already ready and willing and capable of denying this one banshee. The banshee already backing off, doesn't want to fight back against those stalkers and sentries, and now returning home. So that was a really nice play by Goody making sure to not commit with that one banshee just because he already saw the proper defense and the proper response in position. Goody now opting to go for an expansion instead, building his command center within his own base. We'll be able to lift it off in just a moment. Sase and now going for a nexus here, and this nexus giving him an even stronger economy. We now have the robotics bay currently being chrono boosted in addition to another observer. So Sase getting a lot of observers, perhaps concerned about banshees and cloak. So that is a lot of gas that has been used so far. In comes the banshee trying to get some damage. We'll be able to finish off one probe and getting off another probe, and then one more probe there, finally backing off, at least getting 150 minerals and kills before pulling out of there, as that banshee does have a lot of energy, and he did invest a lot into getting that one early banshee, which hasn't really paid off so far. Observer now shot down inside the base of Goody, as SCV is now being transferred over to the natural expansion location, upgrading to an orbital command, and now able to mine off of 18 mineral patches. The banshee now coming across a lone pylon here. This pylon, and you have to be very careful with this pylon. You want to pull away just far enough so that if any units try to come in and try to shoot you, you're able to pull away and still deal damage to it. I think if the banshee was right here, he should be able to actually destroy this one pylon without getting destroyed himself, just because the range on those stalkers is equal to the range on that banshee. Missile turret now being placed down as well, making sure that this expansion or this semi-high ground location isn't dropped, or if Colossus try to walk up and down, that they have to slow down in order to destroy the missile turrets or suffer the consequences of some damage. Goody now nearing completion, or now starting his Infernal Pre-Igniter research, should be able to perhaps do a drop or a run by in just a moment, as missile turrets are in here and here as well. We can see an SCV establishing another missile turret over here at the destructible rocks, making sure that no units are going to be coming in from the backside if Goody does in fact try to move out. That one poor that one observer just constantly hiding away from those missile turrets. Missile turrets are sporadically placed across the map now, so it has to be very careful. It has to be very careful about that, otherwise it will get shot out of the sky. One pylon now being warped in. Sase looking to perhaps take up an expansion here. Yes, take an expansion at the gold mineral location, and this will give him the stronger economy if he's able to hold it out and defend it long enough. A banshee, that same first banshee, is now back in the air looking to destroy a new target and get a little bit more harassment into play. There is a Colossus now up over here, and then a lot of stalkers and sentries. Army-wise, 2250 versus 1500. Both players, majority of their food count is now currently being spent on probes and workers. So 44 harvesters versus 49. And you can see that this is with an 86 food army who is currently supply locked. Sase sitting at 100 over 100, needs to warp in some additional pylons as he is currently supply locked, unable to do anything else, unable to train any additional units. Stalkers still hanging around over here. Both players just pretty much relaxing in their base, and at some point they do need to move out and try to do something. As a Terran player, I always feel that if you let your Protoss player macro up and tech up strong enough, that is just one of the issues that you're going to be facing, as your opponent's going to have Colossus, Void Rays, Immortals, and Stalkers, and that's very difficult to stop. That Banshee now getting up to 4 kills, 5, continuing to rack up that kill count, now up to 7 kills, and now pulling out, getting 350 minerals in kills so far. So that Banshee definitely worth its weight so far, as it continues to destroy more and more units. Hellions now trying to run it along this backside, but there are no probes here for it to kill. So Goody revealing his Hellion army and pretty much not having any destruction to show for it, loses out a little bit there. A couple probes hiding by those destructible rocks. There is one Stalker, and that one Stalker is going to have a very, very easy time trying to take down multiple Hellions. I believe the Stalker could have just actually destroyed the Hellions one at a time, but the Stalker deciding to back off instead, and there it goes, running into a larger group of Hellions as support. Goody now getting a new expansion up, will lift it off and drop it into this location in just a moment, as well as taking the island expansion at the 1 o'clock location. That island expansion needs to be very well protected. Missile turrets definitely, otherwise this expansion can fall in just a matter of seconds, as it is so close to your opponent's base. Hellions once again trying to come back in, get more damage. It looks like a couple probes were taken down. 47 probes now compared to 56, and this is going to give Goody a little bit more breathing room in terms of his army, able to macro up a larger army continually. 4,000 versus 4,600. Income is about even so far, as Goody has yet to establish his island expansion. We now have, what, 3 missile turrets coming in. Perhaps another missile turret there would round it off and make it very difficult for any serious drop to come into play. Banshee still hanging outside that front door, or that back door of the natural expansion, and Sase is just pretty much mentally contained. There's not much he can really do in order to move out. All he can really do is macro at this point, but macroing and building a larger army is exactly what he's doing, and he has a very strong lead now. 1,300 minerals and 500 gas. Stalkers now on the move. Hellions now trying to retreat. The Stalkers do not have blink. We are getting the level 1 Protoss armor now, and the Terran vehicle plating level 1. So all of the Protoss ground army in addition to the Terran army are going to have benefited armor, as the siege tanks will be 1-1 in just a moment. Goody now also getting 3 Thors as well. Those Thors are not going to be able to deal all too much damage, as that one Hellion going to run straight into a group of Zealots. And they'll run around a straight group of Zealots, and now more damage being dealt across multiple probes. We can see that this observer is still here. No upgrade to a planetary fortress yet, as the Hellion has now been shut down. Back here, getting just gas and minerals off of the island expansion, and now here comes a push. Army-wise, 7,000 versus 5,050. Stalkers now trying to push in. Stalkers and Hellions going to be able to finish this off very, very easily, and taking a lot of damage. Immortals, siege tanks trying to blast their way through. I do not think they're going to be able to get that much damage off, as that observer is still there. The command center now taking a lot of damage. It is burning, so some SCVs need to come over in order to help it, otherwise it will get destroyed. Stalkers now coming down over here. They're going to finish off some of those Hellions, and get even more damage onto that command center, down to 144 hit points. SCVs finally make it over and begin their repair job, and now Hellions going after more probes once again, maybe able to get some more probe kills there. 2 probes, and I believe the last 2 probes should get shut down. No, the Hellions deciding to attack the Stalkers instead of the probes, and have nothing to show for it. Stalkers and Immortals. Hellions now trying to move out once again. There are a decent number of sentries, and now down goes that one Hellion. Army-wise, what, 3 Colossus, a whole bunch of Stalkers, and a whole bunch of Immortals. 196 versus 172, and at some point Sase, who has a slight, no, he does not have an economic lead at all anymore, but he does have 196, so he does have a much larger army, just because he doesn't have nearly as many probes. And this could be a repeat of the last game, where the economy of Goody is so much more powerful, but unable to really do anything at all. But out comes some Void Rays, and out comes some Colossus as well. Immortals trying to battle it out, and just so much damage being dealt across the board. The missile turrets have been destroyed, so those Void Rays are suffering a lot of damage. EMP Shockwave depleting much of the shields. Vikings now going after those Colossus, going after a real one first, as these Stalkers and Immortals continue to push. Siege tanks not quite sure what to attack. There are a lot of Colossus, 3 Colossi still in this group here. 1,800 versus 825, and Sase trying to attack and trying to break the trying to break the siege line actually loses more of his units. Production wise now, Thors are being retrained, and with that, Goody has a very sizable lead. His economic advantage will help him build a stronger army continually. Sase is now down to only 700 minerals. He is not able to mine out of this expansion over here, as Hellion after Hellion keeps coming down into the 8 o'clock location to destroy probes. And now Sase down to 35 probes, the majority of them hanging out here at these 8 mineral patches. And as soon as those mineral patches are gone, Sase cannot really macro up a large enough army to fend off any serious attack. Sase does not know about the island expansion here. There are some Vikings and some Thors getting in position, and the Vikings are now just going to get shot down here by those Stalkers. Stalkers deal significant damage towards those Vikings, especially when they have that blink ability to get underneath those Vikings and just pick them out of the sky. Goody, as long as he doesn't make any critical mistakes, should have this game in the next couple of minutes, as long as he's able to reestablish this expansion here without losing all too much, or start saturating his planetary fortress at the island location. Siege tanks are upgraded 1-1. Weapons upgrade level 2 for the Protoss. Was that actually cancelled? It didn't look near completed to me. No, level 2 has completed. So Immortals now dealing 60 damage per pop. A 3,300 mineral army versus a 4,850. And now Goody just sitting back, relaxing, and waiting to see what Sase is going to do. Sase knows that he needs to do something, otherwise this additional base is just going to give his opponent too much of a lead. SCV is finally being transferred over. Immortals now making their way down over here as the Hellions once again reintroducing themselves to the probe mineral line, and down, I believe this one probe able to barely survive, sitting at 14 hit points. Hellions, SCVs, missile turrets being placed down. This expansion location needs to get some probes transferred over as well. 89 versus 200. Goody can just simply attack, move now, and almost win at this point. Goody perhaps wants to get a little bit more minerals in the bank so that he can produce more units the instant the battle is over, and continue to boost and build units continuously. You can now see Hellions making their way forward. The Hellions are now going to go up against some Stalkers and some Sentries. A lot of Thors though, so the Thors can just turn around and start poking apart at some of those units. Hellions battling it out. There are a couple force fields, but those Thors could have destroyed them in just a matter of seconds by walking through them. Siege tanks now slowly making their way up, and next to the Xel'Naga Watchtower are going to be able to shut down this expansion. And it looks like Sase wanted to try to attack from behind, but it doesn't really work like that, especially against a Terran player. Those Thors, although they are slow, the siege tanks back over here would give you early warning. In comes this army over here. Hellions, Thors, and Stalkers, Sentries battling it out. Both sides getting a lot of damage. EMP Shockwave, I believe, and depleted all the shields here. And now Sase must say GG. So Sase losing Game 5 in this Best of 5 series against Goody here on Scrap Station. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this series between Goody and Sase.